We all wish we had more hours in the day to get more done. And this is going to sound kind of counterproductive when we go into it, but the truth is, the more breaks you can take throughout your day, often you'll get more done in the day. Our brains are not meant to look at a computer screen for 8 hours straight. So there's a ton of techniques that you can actually take that enable you to have these little segmented breaks so that when you go back to work, you are working efficiently and not just wasting time. I'm going to go over a few of those today, but of course here at MeetEdgar, you know we love efficiency and you know we are a social media automation tool. So this is going to be tip number one. Look for the things in your business that you can automate. What tasks do you do every single day that are super similar? If you can find and locate those similar tasks and do kind of an audit on the days and times you're doing them, often you can go out and Google different softwares that can help automate these certain tasks and actually allow you to take breaks when you're doing that hard work when it comes to writing, content creation, getting on the sales calls, and all of those fun things that move your business forward. So first and foremost, do an audit of your time. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from forming these new habits? Is it a fear of technology? I really like to remind people that you're not going to break the internet, right? If you're afraid that you won't be able to figure out a certain piece of software, give it a try. Oftentimes when you get in there, start playing around with it, you can see how powerful these different tools can be in order to save you so much time. Another thing that I always like to talk about when you're examining your routines and you're examining your schedule to look for how you can optimize it to take more breaks and to be more efficient is what would it look like if you actually went to a time blocking strategy? So a time blocking strategy is just whipping open your calendar. I personally love Google Calendar because it's super simple. It's integrated with things like Calendly, which is a software I certainly recommend you use if you ever set calls or appointments with people. So it integrates with stuff. It's super simple. It gives you reminders throughout the day, and you can make blocks of when you're going to do things, right? So on your Google Calendar, you want to actually space out that this is my admin time in the morning. This is my content creation time in the afternoon. These are my sales calls times in the evening, so that you're doing like-minded tasks together. It's a concept we love here at MeetEdgar called batching. We actually throw a content batching party every single month in order to really provide a space and a time and some inspiration for you to sit down and create your status updates all at one time. The reason that we really teach this strategy is because we've seen how much time it can save and how much more effective status updates you can create with that. So examine your routines and your schedule and see what you can group together as like-minded tasks in order to give you a little bit more freedom throughout your day to take breaks and to accomplish those tasks more efficiently and with better accuracy. So other things that you want to do is really make sure you're communicating new approaches that you're taking to your team and to your family. Right now, especially as we're all working from home, remote work becomes a place where we find ourselves and our lives being ingrained with our family life and our work life. Often this leads to a lot of stress. I like to remind you that you can bring your family into your work in a really cool way right now. If you have kids who are bothering you a lot, communicate what you're doing and why you're doing that and make them feel like they're a part of it. Make them look at your Google Calendar and say, hey, look at this time block where mom's gonna or dad's gonna create content all afternoon. This means you can't disturb us because this block of time is really sacred to us, right? Explaining these things and really looking at ways that you can bring your whole family into it makes it a lot easier to set boundaries on saying, don't knock on the office door when I'm doing this because it's set right here in my calendar. Little pro tip from a lot of us work at home parents at the MeetEdgar company are using these days. You also really want to make sure that you're tinkering with a bunch of different methods when it comes to this break taking and efficiency. One that I really recommend, and one that our developers especially have said that they use all the time, is the Pomodoro method. I'm sure a lot of you have actually heard of this method. It is this idea that you can set a timer for yourself. A lot of people will do it on different intervals. The classic method is 25 minutes of work for a 5-minute break. That means you set your timer for 25 minutes. You are truly focused. You are sitting down. Nothing can go ahead and distract you from the work you're doing. You get into a zone. You work really hard. You do not check Facebook. Your airplane mode is on your phone, and you work for that 25 minutes. When that timer goes off, you get a 5-minute break. I recommend standing up, walking around the room, getting your eyes off of the computer to have this break really be effective. After that 5 minutes, you sit down, you work uninterrupted for another 25 minutes. These breaks allow you to do things, if you don't want to do the walk around method that I just was talking about, you could remind yourself, I get a 5-minute break to play on social media after I do this 25-minute walk. These breaks are so important for our brain to produce better work once we go back to our actual work 25 minutes, but it also really allows you to stay really concentrated because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, a lot of people and high performance habit coaches will actually recommend doing a 50-minute block, especially if you're doing any sort of what they call flow work. That's stuff that requires you to get into a flow state, creativity work, writing emails, all of that. Sometimes if you're in the middle of it, is really beneficial to have that longer period. So what if you created a 50-minute period with a 10-minute break at the end, where you could go walk your dog, where you could go get some more water, where you could go recollect your thoughts. Often, especially in writing activities, this is a really strong strategy to take because our subconscious mind doesn't stop writing when we do, right? So much of the time we want to make sure that you are reminding yourself 8 hours of uninterrupted work is not as productive as these 50-minute, 10-minute breaks throughout the whole day. You'll feel amazingly better if you're able to group like-minded tasks and do it in this Pomodoro method. There's timers online that you can set this for. You can set your you can set your timer on your phone. Just play around with these different strategies because it does truly make a difference when you're respecting your body's energy and reminding yourself that, those sort of things that we hear about shower thoughts, right? Some of the best thoughts about company have come in the shower. That's because our subconscious mind continues to think about the problems we're trying to solve, even when we're not in front of it. So take these breaks and you'll be surprised at the cool thoughts that you'll be able to develop in order to really help make sure that the work you're doing is really quality work. So as I was mentioning before, there's a lot of things that we can do in order to set our environment up for success when taking breaks. One of them is really making sure that your airplane mode is on your phone. Your phone is not there in order to have you respond right away to other people's problems. That's what email and text and social media is on your phone. You're responding to other people's agendas all day. I like to turn the notifications off on my text messages and only check them when I decide to check them rather than doing it when they come in. I know for everyone this isn't an option. However, if it is an option for you, try it. Make sure that things like your devices are not stealing your creative time and that you're setting your environment up for success this way, because we all know willpower dwindles throughout the day, right? We go into the day super excited, but the minute we see that little notification on our phone, we often pick it up and we start to engage in activities that our time sucks rather than actually being able to produce the content that we want to put out in the world. So make sure your airplane mode is turned on your phone. Make sure that you're putting things like email, that you have an away message put up if you're not going to be available all day, saying, hey, I'm changing my routine. I'm actually only checking email once a day. If I get back to you a little later, that's why. That's a good way to kind of put your mind at ease, that people don't think you're being rude. If you've developed the habit of responding within 2 seconds to email before, that's something you could consider doing as well. These feelings of calm that are going to come when you have this uninterrupted work broken up by these little chunks of breaks is going to be amazing for your well-being. And we all know if you don't have your health and well-being, your business can't exist. So truly treat these ideas as something that you want to go into with as much passion as you want to for creating your business. So get really proactive with your time. Other things that I always recommend doing is placing highlights on your day and having retrospectives of it. It's this idea we talk about when we look at social media analytics, that if you swing a golf club in the dark, you're not going to know how to react, right? You see the ball. If the lights are on, you can see the ball, which direction it goes. By lights, I mean sunshine, of course. I know you play golf outside, but you get what I'm saying. If you swing a golf club at night and you don't see the ball, where the ball is going, you don't know how to improve your swing. Same thing with when it comes to changing your habits to be a little bit more productive. What's working and what's not. Sit down with yourself and start the day out setting what you want the highlight for your day to be, right? Think about what you want to get accomplished and the emotion that you're going to feel when you get that accomplished. tying your goals to an emotion makes it way more likely you're actually going to achieve them. I also really want you to finish your day with a retrospective. Now, there's a lot of different planners out there that will actually break this stuff down for you. It's a great thing to do, but if you don't want to use a planner, I simply use a journal on setting my intention for the day, setting what I want to actually get accomplished for the day. Because remember, you choose your thoughts, you choose your intention of what the day is. The day doesn't control you, you control it. And then at the end of the day, especially right now as we're looking for different routines to break up what our work life and our home life was as we're working remotely, this can be a really cool thing to journal about and say what worked well today, what did not work well today, what do I want to take into tomorrow, what can I improve on in tomorrow. Just writing a 5-minute thing at the end of the day is really going to help you notice patterns that you can improve on, and you want to always be improving. It's really, really important for you to reward these focal points and these highlight points that you accomplish throughout the day to help you prioritize for the next day. It really adds balance and awareness, and the behaviors that you want to adopt into your life are going to become really clear. You know, those ones that are really pushing the needle forward in what you want to be in this world. So try asking that question, you know, when I look back on my day, what would I want that highlight to be? Ask that question at the beginning of the day, and then ask yourself at the end of the day how it worked, how you can improve tomorrow. When you're doing things like the Pomodoro method, you know, really make sure that it works for you. When we talk about these things, a lot of the times it can feel prescriptive that I'm saying everyone has to do this, right? But it's truly not. It's got to work for your routines. And when you're thinking about the different routines that you're doing, remember when I was talking about if you have something that's more of a flow state activity that's going to take perhaps like an hour or so to accomplish and you don't want to break it up, that's okay, right? So when I'm saying these things, please take it with a grain of salt. But also think about the idea that when you're more fresh and you take these breaks, your work is going to show that. So if you have a task and if you're starting to notice patterns that a lot of your tasks are taking more than like 2 Pomodoros, that 50-minute, 10-minute break we are talking about to complete, could you actually break that task down into 2 separate smaller tasks? Often what really stops us from actually taking action on a task is if we feel like that task is too big. If we feel overwhelmed, like we cannot accomplish it, often that's going to be something we procrastinate. Procrastination is actually a thing that your brain does in order to protect you, right? It's there because it doesn't want you to have to feel a negative emotion of not getting it accomplished because it's such a huge task. So if we can look at our tasks and break them down into smaller chunks and remind us what is the next smallest thing to get this ball rolling, and you get that momentum of crossing that off, you're going to want to actually go and accomplish something else. It's like that idea that if you want to start a habit of going to the gym in the morning, you lay your clothes out in the morning. You lay them right in front of your door so that if you have to actually skip it, you're going to have to walk over those clothes and remind yourself that you broke a promise to yourself. So what's the next littlest thing you can do to set yourself up for success? Once you get those gym clothes on, it's pretty likely you're going to actually go work out, right? So break it up into those little chunks so that you can actually have a successful time doing that. And when you're really staying on track, again, it's about your environment way more than it is about willpower. So when you're looking for these systems, remind yourself that you can do things on these breaks that are way more productive than just looking at social media or just looking for ways to just kind of sit and waste time on these breaks. So could you do something like every time, if you have a habit that you do check social media a lot and you feel like it's a time suck, could you do something like replace your phone with a marketing book or with an affirmations book or something like that? So in these 5-minute breaks, rather than pulling for your phone to scroll through social media, you're actually improving and reading these other ideas that are going to engage your brain and perhaps give you new ideas to take back into the work or project that you're doing. Really sit down and ask yourself, you know, why am I looking at my phone? Am I bored? Am I sad? Am I avoiding work? If it really is serving you in your breaks, that's really great. If it's not, look for how you can change your environment to make sure it is matching what your goals are. You know, there's a lot of different apps that will help track your time during the day. There's one called Moment that I really like that actually will track like where your time on your phone, on your computer, stuff like that is going. They've done studies that actually people open up Instagram more than 60 times a day. All of their aggregate data shows this. Now that's pretty crazy, right? Even if it's just 1 minute of you scrolling through Instagram, that is you doing that 60 times. That's an entire hour. Think about what you could have accomplished in that hour instead. This is the reason it's so important to track your time and to make sure you're being intentional with what you do on your breaks. So really sitting down and saying, you know, what do I need to get done today before I can start serving anyone else or before I can do these other tasks that I actually enjoy doing? Having those priorities set, having the breaks actually established so it doesn't become something that you're saying, oh, I'm tired, I'm just going to take a break. No, that's not when you want to take a break. You want to take a break when you've actually scheduled it in so that you know how the flow of your whole day is going. And that's how you become one of the most productive people out there. So really take into account what's going to work for you. Start changing your environment and changing your habits so that you can get this involvement in actually having a task-oriented schedule, blocking your time, doing concepts like batching, and really having intentional breaks throughout the day to support your work. If you've never tried it before, let me know how you like it. I'll be back with you tomorrow. It was a blast hanging out this afternoon, and I hope your start to this Monday is going as great as mine is. I'll see you guys tomorrow.